Hi guys. So for the second half of the week, we're going to actually look at slope-intercept form of a line since we've been looking at just the slope so far. So first, I want to go over the new thing we introduced last week, which was getting slope between 2 points. So if you remember, that is a formula where slope is the difference in the y's over the difference in the x's. So I suggest that you label your points, x1, y1, x2, y2, and then you just plug them in. So I'm going to subtract my x's, my y's. So negative 16 minus negative 15 over negative 8 minus negative 5. So minus the negative turns into a plus. So I end up with negative 16 plus 15, which is negative 1. And then negative 8 plus 5, which is negative 3, which the negatives cancel out to just give me 1/3. Excuse me. Sorry, my allergies have been bad. Anyway. One more. So I've got x1, y1, x2, y2, and I'm going to subtract my x's. Every time I say that, I'm going to subtract my y's on top, followed by my x's on the bottom. So I'll have 16 minus 11 over negative 14 minus negative 19. Biscuit, shh. Being rude. Okay. So 16 minus 11 is just 5. And then remember, minus a negative, the negatives cancel out and it gives you a plus sign. So negative 14 plus 19 is 5. Biscuit. Here's a toy. There you go. And 5 divided by 5 is just 1. Ta-da. Okay. So moving on to the new stuff, slope-intercept form. That is y equals mx plus b. You may or may not have heard of this before, probably have. So what that means, m is your slope. The slope will always be attached to x, but it is important that you know that slope is just a number. The x is not like included in the slope. I feel like I'm about to sneeze. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. It might happen. And b is your y-intercept. So we know that slope is like rise of a run. A y-intercept is where the graph is going to touch the y-axis. Okay? So, cool. All right. So there's kind of two ways we can do this. We can go write an equation for a graph or get a graph from an equation. Going back and forth. So we're going to start with being given a graph because we already know how to pull slope off of a graph, or at least we should. And finding the y-intercept is super easy because, here's my y-axis. So the y-intercept is at negative 2. So that means b is negative 2. Then I just have to find another point where it touches the corner of a box, okay? Like here's all these boxes. Like we want it to touch the corner of a box, so we would not use that point. So this point works. And then I just do rise of a run for slope. So I go up 2 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, and right 4 spaces. If you can simplify your slope, you should. So 2 over 4 simplifies down to 1/2. Now that I have m and b, I just got to put them into the equation. Y and x just stay y and x. And the equal sign and the plus are just. Anyway, so remember it's y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to get y equals 1/2 x minus 2. Because it's a negative 2. So minus, because plus a negative is a minus. I didn't even get off, whatever. Okay, one more. So I'm always going to start by getting my B or my, y-intercept, because it's the easiest thing to find. It's where it touches the y-axis. In this case, it is -2. And then I just need to find one other point where it touches at the corner of a box. So I choose that one. All right, and then I went down 2, so that's -2, and right 2. So remember, down is negative, left is negative, up is positive, right is positive. And if you have a slope going down from left to right, whatever, it's backwards. This is my left and right. If you have a line going down from left to right, the slope should be negative, because we read graphs like we read sentences from left to right. So my slope is -2/2, which simplifies down to just -1. So when I plug that in, I get -1x minus 2. Now, the more proper way to write that would just be -x minus 2. That is what you would see on a multiple choice. That's what you'd see more often. Because generally when we multiply 1 by something, we don't write it there because 1 times anything is itself, essentially. So, but if you write -1x minus 2, it's not you're not wrong. I'm not going to count you wrong. It's just know that that's more, proper way to write it. Okay. So anyway, the other way to use slope-intercept form is to draw a graph. So essentially, what you want to do is you want to start at the y-intercept. So it starts at +5. And then from there, I want to graph. So my slope is -3. Now, if you ever have a slope, that's just a whole number. It's the same thing as putting it over 1. So for -3, I'm going to go down 3 spaces and right 1 space. And technically, it only requires 2 points for a line, but I strongly recommend you use at least 3 points. And I just like to go all the way across the graph. You just follow the same pattern. Down 3 spaces, over 1. Down 3, over 1. And then you can draw a line. Also, you should know lines get arrows because they go on forever. So you should draw arrows on them. Cool. So one more. My y-intercept is at 4, so that's where I'm going to put my first dot. And then my slope is +4/3. So normally I would go up 4 spaces and right 3 spaces, but I can't. That's off the graph. So if I can't go up and right, I can go down and left. I can do it backwards, okay? So I'm going to go down 4 spaces and left 3 spaces, and then I'm going to do it one more time. Did I count right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I did. Go me. So there's my line with arrows. So anyway, there you go. Graphing lines. Slope-intercept form. Awesome.